For the next set of lectures, we'll be taking a closer look at the remaining adjustment panels. We'll start with the Basics panel. Go ahead and expand the Basic panel. If you don't see it, right-click on any panel heading and make sure there's a check mark next to Basic. For this exercise, we'll need to open the image with file name spring002.jpg. The first part of this exercise is to correct the white balance of this photo. We already discussed white balance earlier. We know that white balance reflects the accuracy of colors in the photo relative to what would have been seen with the naked eye. We also know that the ability of our camera to accurately record white balance depends on the color temperature settings we used when the photo was taken. Sometimes, even if you do use the correct white balance setting, the colors can still be off. Photographers have a number of tools at their disposal to get the most accurate white balance reading on their camera. This normally involves using a gray card to set a custom white balance reading. Sometimes going through all that trouble may not be practical or realistic. Lightroom makes it very easy to adjust white balance accurately by using a neutral gray tone in our image as a reference point. To do this, select the color picker located here. Now, as soon as you hover your mouse over the preview area, you'll notice a color palette appears. This palette magnifies the color range around the area where your mouse is pointed. It also indicates the RGB values of the color. Right now, we're looking for a neutral gray color that we can use as a reference point. It's important to know that a neutral gray will have all RGB values equal to one another. This is because when we mix an equal amount of red, green, and blue, a neutral gray is produced. Now, before you click anywhere, just uncheck the Auto Dismiss checkbox over here if you already have it checked. This will make sure that this color palette that we see will remain on the screen once we click, otherwise it'll disappear. So I'll go ahead and look for a neutral gray. And if you need to zoom in, you can, but most of the time you can get pretty lucky. So I've located a fairly neutral tone here, and you can see that the RGB values are 65, 61, and 73. I could do a bit better, but this should be sufficient enough to get a pretty accurate white balance. So watch what happens when I click my left mouse button now. Lightroom automatically adjusts all the colors in the image based on the neutral reference point we just defined. And you can see it made quite a difference. The temperature in this case has gone up +18 and the tint has gone down -43. So Lightroom automatically made that adjustment for us. And that's how the auto white balance correction works. Once you've completed these steps, you can put your color picker back in the holder here, just so you don't accidentally click somewhere else. Now, before we do go on to the next lecture, I just wanted to point out a couple of other things. This color palette that you see here, you can adjust its scale using the scale slider over here. And if you don't want to see it at all, you can uncheck the show loop checkbox. Okay, so now I'll just put the color picker back again, and we'll see you in the next lecture.